Well, here we are. Once again, the team from WNDR Alpine is here at Blister headquarters, but the team has expanded, and we're very happy to welcome Pep.
We are now a wolf pack of 3.
Pep Fujas, we're saying it. I think I nailed that.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
100%.
You must be like, has there been a better skier ever whose name people struggle to pronounce? Pop quiz.
That is a good question.
I think you might.
I think I take the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might take the cake, but we're going with, even though there is a long, complicated backstory to this, we are going with Fujas.
That is the perfect pronunciation. Impeccable.
So everyone out there listening, that's what we're going with. Well, welcome to Crested Butte.
Thank you.
It's fun to get to meet in person. We recorded a conversation. I think it was our 100th episode.
That's right.
Actually, yeah,
Centennial.
And so appreciate you coming out to see us here. Pep and Matt Sterbenz, you guys picked an interesting way to get here.
Yeah, it was a move that I had been long thinking about, just because of the preferred route I'd like to take into Crested Butte is over the Irwin Pass area. I've done it by station wagon. Last year I was entertained with the use of a rental car, so I was focusing on my drifting techniques. But all along I was just kind of rubbernecking into the Alpine and thinking about, all the game trail and all the single track and how fun it would be to come in, from the north on some of those back roads. And so when this opportunity came about, I asked Pep if he'd be interested in getting his KTM out of retirement, which we used to ride all the time. And then he started his family, and the bike just kind of got shuffled to the back of the garage. And he was down. And Xan was already coming over to ride bikes with his crew. So I thought it'd be fitting if Pep and I rode our dirt bikes up and over. So we initially thought we were going to come in from Marble, but then we got some local beta on the fact that if we came in out of Aspen, we would connect in with some really epic high alpine single tracks sooner, and it would be more long standing. So we put in like around Ashcroft Mountain. We went over Taylor Pass, Mount Tilton, and eventually dropped into this area. We came across some cyclists from Gunnison, so we knew we were getting close. And then we came across, I think it's Double Top Mountain, and we found some really awesome trail riding. And it's kind of cool, just cruising into town on motos, And that experience, I think, kind of helped get us prepared for all which Crested Butte is about. To show up by car, the last stop was maybe a gas station, but you left your house, you show up here, it's a totally different environment, different community, different scene. And this way we came in much more with the community. We felt like we had a much better perspective on the terrain and where a lot of these skis are being tested, because we've had a chance to look around. And the backcountry is expansive here. It's really, really sick. And yeah, we were just, taking note. Where could we ski come wintertime?
Got the clipboard out, checking things
we hear
off.
about all this ski touring and all this and that. It's actually pretty deep and steep, but we hadn't had a chance to really look around because you're so, nested in this Crested Butte Valley. You can't see a lot of that peripheral terrain. And so yesterday we were able to I think maintain an average altitude of 10.5 with a topping out at 12.6.
Yeah. Xan Marshland,
what's up?
You get the award for traveling the farthest.
Thank
right?
you.
Of the crew.
Honored to accept this award.
Yep.
It's been a long time coming. Thank you.
So I think you started in Berkeley.
Yep.
And then had been traveling out and stopping pretty much everywhere to mountain bike along the way.
Yeah, it's been real weird. Doing this in August has just totally been a questionable decision. 2 days ago we were riding lunch loops in Grand Junction, and I believe it was 1:02 by 11:30 a.m. or so. Matt and Pep actually showed up there to cross paths with us to hand off some skis to me because they couldn't bring skis on their motos, obviously. So we stuck some of these skis behind me in my van. And I think when they rolled up, I was like pretty dizzy at that point, really dehydrated, eating a peach. Like, this is the best piece of fruit I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the highlight of the day, was like actually finishing riding and getting to eat a good piece of fruit. Everything else was kind of type 2 fun, but it's been good. It was a good journey out here. And I'd say, yeah, the best part of getting here was just getting up to altitude and finding this awesome campsite that we were all at last night. And yeah, feeling like I was coming back home to Colorado.
Nice. Well, good to have you all here.
Stoked.
It was quite something last night when like there was like a knock at my door and I opened the door and there's a pizza delivery guy, you know, Pep, holding several pizzas. And I thought, this is one of those, I never had the creativity to think that would be like a bucket list item for me. But now that it's happened, it's like one of those, like, it's another thing to check off the list. Like, have Pep deliver you pizzas.
Oh my God.
Never really thought
that picture was hilarious. Just like all of us just like standing there grinning at your door.
Yeah.
Just like, we just got out of the woods. Let's eat some pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like one of those, like, you know what'd be sweet right now? Like some pizza delivered by Pep. And then that happened. Yeah. So appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Taking that
my
box.
pleasure.
Yeah, anytime. You can just call him up. He'll get you a pizza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, we are here. The occasion is to kind of get caught up on what is going on at WNDR Alpine. And one of you, and I will let you guys decide, should maybe give the, 1 to 2 minute backstory on what is WNDR Alpine. And, let's do that. We can also refer everybody, checking this out, to the conversation. There's a video of our conversation that we did, I guess it was about a year ago here.
Yeah.
So that's up on YouTube, and there's also a podcast probably titled something like WNDR Alpine. I don't remember what episode number it was, but if you have any amount of, what's the word?
Interest?
Curiosity.
Maybe, about
I was thinking,
the backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have any amount of drive, I think you're going to find this in 5 seconds. So
Sure.
Anyway, who should we nominate to give the 1 to 2 minute backstory?
I'd be happy to nominate myself.
You have 1 to 2 minutes.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
So, a little over a year ago, we launched WNDR Alpine, which is a alpine outdoor brand with a emphasis on material innovation. Our first application set was obviously backcountry skis, leveraging my background as the founder of Forefront. And this opportunity came about kind of through a roundabout way where CheckerSpot, the biotechnology platform which we leveraged with WNDR Alpine, was seeking kind of a way to kind of show and prove, essentially a proof point in how the algal-derived polyurethanes can make a noteworthy performance impact on a consumer product. And so we kicked off development with the very first WNDR Alpine product, which was an alpine ski utilizing an algal-derived hard foam into what became the algal composite core. And we enjoyed this experience so much so that we decided, okay, let's build a brand around this product rather than just go and shop it around to all the other existing brands. Let's form a brand our own, use that as a vehicle which we can then animate future material developments as well. So we came up with WNDR Alpine. We launched in July of 2019, and the Intention 110 was born. We made a limited run. We do all this stuff in-house in Salt Lake City, and we were largely dependent on the CheckerSpot development work that's coming out of Berkeley to support our application needs. So as soon as we kind of got the brand off the ground, consumer interactions started. We started kind of fielding inquiries about different product lines, different questions around the materials, ways that we can advance the technology platform. And so we employed a material scientist. Charles Rand goes by CJ. He moved out to work with us to get some on-site development work rolling. And ultimately that gave us some independence of having to convert the materials from a liquid to solid state ourselves, or from Berkeley. So now we were doing that development work all on site. So on one bay you have material science, the other bay you have like ski production and development, and the other side you have like testing and fabrication. So a really unique and dynamic environment, which we've been able to now like really identify alternative ways in which we can bring this material into scope with the product. So with CJ on our side, Salt Lake cranking, we were able to identify a new model ski, the Vital 100, which we just recently came out with for our 1-year anniversary this past July. And the introduction of our algal wall, which is a secondary application of the algal technology, where we now use a cast urethane in place of an extruded plastic sidewall. And so I know that's pretty tech and deep for those who don't build skis, but you got to realize that there needs to be a polymer that faces all the, otherwise porous materials of the ski core. And that material needs to have a complementary scope and performance that doesn't necessarily lock the core's potential out. So we've kind of reverse engineered what the sidewall material is in the ski, what its needs are, and innovated upon that with this new cast urethane system called the algal wall. And now with algal wall and algal core, we built this umbrella brand called Algal Tech. So WNDR Alpine is leveraging itself through unique values of this Algal Tech platform. So we take in the feedstock of the algal oil from Checker Spot and their technology. We convert that into a solid state material on premise in Salt Lake, and we take those polyurethanes and introduce those into consumer application. In this sense, it's backcountry skis, namely the Intention 110 and the all new Vital 100.
What did he miss, Xan?
What did he miss? I don't think much there.
Yeah,
that's pretty comprehensive.
That was pretty comprehensive.
I think you went over 2 minutes though.
I think I
you might
did
have
too.
gone over 2 minutes.
I know.
I would
really
have bet everything I owned that was not going to be a 2-minute answer.
Yeah.
I know. I was kind of like flipping through the history chronologically while speaking, and
I know we might actually be done. I don't know if there's still. You may. Have
oh man, I mean, it's just the introduction, and we're really just at the beginning of a lot. But that was like just trying to touch all the points of activities that have occurred since we were here last.
Huh.
And we fielded quite a bit of criticism because we had really like big plans, and we had this really like broad story arc about like eco innovation in alpine hard goods, but we had this like pretty binary application to show for it, this composite core, and using all the other common materials found in the skis in this room. So this last year was a really big year for us, bringing material science in house and creating a second application, which it would be great if like we could just take an extruded plastic out and put one of our polyurethane materials in. But the reality is like once you start to change that bill of materials, it has a ricochet effect throughout all the bill of materials. And that then affects the process in which you're building skis. So we had to break the whole ski down again. And then that had some adverse, impacts. We had to start taking into consideration some weight impact. We had to take into consideration waste impact. And so when you start to introduce a new material and you do it with a mindset that it needs to be innovative for not only performance, but also needs to be efficient in terms of its manufacturing process, it opened up a pretty big can of worms. But luckily we had a lot more people on the team to help us work through it. And I don't think we would have been as conscious around some of the decisions that we made if being mindful of the waste stream was so in the foreground of our decision making. And I think a lot of that's largely been when Pep joined the team. He really wanted to do like a deep ecological, like what's the ecosystem of this product? How is it being leveraged? How is it being captured? What's our footprint? And so having his voice, not only in the design of like the Intention 110 and now the Vital 100, but also in how we're going about in the materials. It's put a lot of different people's opinions, square on the table. So it's been a complex process, and I think it's led to some really meaningful innovation. And we hope that this innovation will be something that will become much more standardized in the industry because of it.
I'm curious from your guys' perspective, so the brand launches July 2019. Matt just broke down some of the things that you guys been up to, in the last 12 months. But it's always interesting, right, with a new company, that story of whether it kind of things are happening sort of organically, or if you are like kind of riding along on the sidewalk and all of a sudden, you know, there's a, I don't know, you fall into a massive hole or something. And how would you guys describe this past year? Has it felt kind of linear in terms of the growth and development of the company, or given all of the sort of design and experimentation that was happening, did it just feel like, oh crap, and like, you know, one step forward, 6 steps back type of thing, or like...
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I feel like things have really gone according to plan based on what we launched Wonder Alpine to do. I mean, we launched it last year with the express purpose of introducing new high-performance materials into skis. And as Matt said, we launched the Intention 110 with the algal core. And then next year, or now this year, we're coming back swinging with a second material. And so that's going to be the trajectory for Wonder Alpine, is just to keep introducing new high-performance bio-based materials and keep that product innovation going. Now, as Matt said, there are plenty of hurdles and different like details and, you know, little swerves and everything within that product design and testing process. But like from my vantage point and from kind of like a macro perspective, I think we can all be really proud of how far we've come, and now just a year as a live brand.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I'm truly honored by the way that we've achieved the goals at which we've set out to achieve. And they certainly weren't gimmies by any means. And when I signed on, I was kind of looking at this plan that was laid out, and I'm like, wow, like those realistic goals, you know? And of course, I didn't really believe that at the time. And then getting to this point where those things have kind of come to fruition, I don't know, I feel like more empowered that a lot of the other ideas that we have in terms of ski design, in terms of waste stream, all these different components, like they will get done if we want them to get done. And I think that was like the determination, or like the group determination, that really like, you know, saw that through. So,
from your point of view, what can you pinpoint sort of the thing where you felt like, wow, that just went much quicker than sort of the team anticipated? And then I'll open this to all of you guys, but what was the point where you're like, wow, that one turned out to be a lot harder than we imagined? I mean, this happens always, right? Like literally anyone trying to build anything, or like on a home improvement project, you're like, oh, I'll just do this. And then you're like, I can't believe how hung up I am on this one stupid thing, right?
Totally.
So talk a little bit, like, were there any big surprises, either happy ones or kind of, oh crap, you know?
I mean, I think the first one was the making of the first polyurethane. I mean, it seemed like that happened really fast. I mean, Scott came in, like came up with a formula, hand poured it into some skis. And within another day, I was out skiing on these skis. Actually, we poured in the morning, let them set up overnight. We built the ski the next day, and I skied them that afternoon.
Wow.
I mean, lots of other iterations have happened since then on like development process of the polyurethane, but that was like, wow, we just did that. Like,
yeah,
that it felt like that at least. Another one was like we wanted to use our waste stream in an efficient and effective way to create new product. And I don't know, we've talked about different things for a long period of time. And I was like, Daniel, we gotta get on this. We gotta, like, I'd really love to make a scraper. We've chatted about this for a while. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'll do it tonight. I'm like, okay, really? And I like didn't really have a whole lot of expectations. Came back in the morning, I found this on my desk.
Huh.
And this is base material. This is just base material. There's no epoxy, no resin, nothing. And it's going to be really hard and really durable. It'll do its job. And it's completely waste. So I think that's really cool.
A wax scraper.
Yep.
Yeah, or snow or whatever. Yeah.
You know, something to complement.
Are you thinking of it more as a wax or as a car ice scraper, or both?
I'm thinking like top sheets, and like, you know, you can use this to get into your bindings and chisel out snow, and just like a little utility piece, you know?
Yeah. I mean, really what it is like, it's like the step one.
Yeah.
It's like the proof point of we can take something from our waste stream from production and make it into something. Like this is that something right now.
Yeah.
But now that we've proved that we can do that, like,
where do we go?
Yeah. Where do we go? Like, what's the next step of that? And I think that's something important to consider in like everything that we do right now. Like it's not going to be some kind of overnight, like suddenly the ski is totally different from anything else. It's an iterative thing. And it's something where, you know, we start with a ski scraper.
Yeah.
You can't expect it all to, just be something that comes out like overnight.
And this is one of the things we have been talking about. We were talking about it last night, is that, you know, how all of us try to think about steps forward and innovation and doing things in a better way. And while also trying to avoid, right, like greenwashing, right, which I think a lot of people would have legitimate concerns about, because more and more companies are just like, what kind of story can we tell, you know, to make us look a little better, you know, given that it's a bit trendy right now to talk about how sustainable we all are and all that stuff. And I think those are fair concerns, you know, and one of the things that we've been talking a bit about, though, is that said, I also think that anybody who wants to come after companies that really are committed to trying to iterate and figure out the next steps, now you've kind of got it wrong. So I don't know. I'm curious how you guys are thinking about that. If you agree, if you have something sort of smarter to say to that, but you know, but I do think that there really is, like, for somebody listening to this and it's like, I don't know, that Wonder Alpine ski sure looks a lot like a lot of the other skis we see in this room. You know, what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, these are the first skis on the market to use bio-based materials purpose-built for ski applications derived from microalgae oil. So that's something that I think we can be pretty proud and something that we can hang our hats on. Yeah, in terms of like the whole greenwashing thing, I mean, first and foremost, our goal is to create better performing materials, to create better performing products. And we happen to be doing that using a bio-based materials platform instead of using petroleum. So that's essentially the way we look at it. I think that if you want to point fingers at different people in the market or anything like that, like, I think you're completely missing the point. I think, like, I'd keep in mind that the most sustainable ski out there is one from 100 years ago with leather straps for bindings, no steel edges, wood grown in your backyard, hopefully. But that doesn't really reflect where the market's at right now. Where the market's at right now is performance and figuring out how we can actually build our skis with new things. And that's really, that's our primary focus with Wonder Alpine. And in doing so, as we iterate, the bio-based content of our skis is going to increase. We're also doing a lot that Pep has spoke about in terms of what we're doing with our waste streams and how we can make new things out of the extra scraps, how we can reduce that waste as well. And actually, that's one big advancement as well with the new algal wall cast polyurethane sidewall, is that actually helps us reduce manufacturing waste, because we're actually we're just pouring that in as a liquid instead of trimming away a solid and then having to throw away the scraps. So for us, that's really what it's about. It's iterative and it's performance focused. And by taking all of these steps as we move forward, we're going to get more sustainable skis as an added bonus.
I think it's about taking like a more 360 perspective on how a business is run in general, and being conscientious about all of the different modalities and activities that happen. I can point out a bunch of things that we're doing, and as far as shipping our products, carbon neutral, where, you're using paper to sheathe our skis. We're not using plastics. There are little things that we're doing, and I think like all of those components add up to a larger sum. We're powering all of our facilities with renewable power. We've made that commitment. Last year, we were hoping to do it all with solar power, but that wasn't in the cards for our location, just because we're leasing a place, and our management didn't want to have those unsightly
Unsightly
solar panels on our roof. But hopefully in the future that is something that'll take place. But I think it's really about, just having all these different components tied together, and just having the mentality that we're trying to do what we can in each different segment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny, while you guys are talking, to me, it seems like part of it is, if a company is kind of telling this story, we're trying to do things better. I think where it's greenwashing is if it ends for them with the telling of that story.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so two companies might be saying almost identical things, but whichever of those companies is actually taking those steps, and maybe kind of in response to some of the things you were just saying, Pep, they're maybe also trying to think through every aspect of the business and the production, some of which are not going to be that sexy, Oh
yeah.
But are you doing those too? And it's a little weird, and it is harder, right? Because we go into a ski shop, you walk up to a wall, and you just, pick whatever top sheet you like best, I guess. But other than that, trying to really figure out which companies do we actually kind of believe in, right? And that's an interesting thing. I think in every category, not just skiing, in every category of modern life. And
I think the hard part of getting behind a company is challenging that company and their transparency. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of skis on the wall here that, I've either had an opportunity to visit their facility and or study their marketing. And just due to the nature of the trade secrecy that exists within this industry, I don't have much in terms of visibility to a lot of the ways that these brands are making their products. I know very well their new technology footprint or their new technology implementation, but I don't know the footprint that came with it. They may talk about a new material, but they don't talk about the origin, the source of that material, how it's being manufactured. And that's something that I feel like we've taken head on and created that visibility for our audience. And we've kind of washed the site with anything that's using the term sustainability, and in place use the term responsibility, because I feel like we have that owed to our audience to show them and tell them, provide them the transparency they deserve to really understand what it is that they're buying, because it's not just a product, it's a lifestyle. They're standing for a technology platform that we believe wholeheartedly is going to advance, material innovation. And, when you think about, well, is it greenwashing? It can very easily be greenwashing when you think very singularly around a new material. But when you understand that the platform is built around biology, and that everything is going to work in conjunction with finding ways of using biology as a modifier to current technologies, then you're always going to have the foresight around how can we make things more renewable? How can we do things in a less carbon producing way? And it's nice to have a value proposition that's rooted around those values, because you don't ever have to wonder, are we overstepping our boundary with terminology that is designed just to be marketable? Mm-hmm. It's very meaningful. We talk to a lot of product designers, and they're like, we are exhausted with all the varying different chemistries that exist in the world today, because the base inputs of those chemistries are the same that they have been for decades. But when you can introduce a new ingredient and then have that peripheral, how wide we can take chemistry, it really does land on some unique opportunities. And so I feel really strong about our statement towards responsibility and the commitment we've made to our audience around responsibility. And I would challenge a lot of the other brands in the space to start providing that same backstory, because I hope they are working in meaningful ways like we are. Like, we refuse to throw our waste out. You know, and we pay so much money for the urethanes that we develop, you know, we pay so much money for all this base material and stuff. And like, we're really performance centric. Like, Pep and I won't ski on shitty skis. Like, it's not going to happen. So we're going to make really good skis using the best materials we can find. And we're going to challenge our designers to make really high performing materials. But we're also mindful that we're running a business and we have to generate a profit. And sometimes it's like converting your waste stream into a post-production input is how you're going to save some of those bottom line dollars. And we know the value that we spent to get that material. Why would we just take the part of it that we need for the ski and then just throw the rest in the dumpster? It's mind melting the amount of waste that comes from ski building. So feeling really good about how we're just like, no, like we don't know exactly what we're going to do with that material right now, but let's keep it, you know, let's grind it up. You know, store it in a mindful way, break it down, and then find another use for it down the road, and allow that to be a contributor to reducing our footprint and to increasing our story around being responsible with the products that we're building, and not putting that liability solely on the consumer. Mm-hmm. You know, I was like, we were riding into the HQ today, and I saw somebody had a cardboard ski box. Did you see that?
No.
We were coming down Washington Gulch Road from the camp spot, and somebody had a ski box at the road where they were waiting for garbage to pick up. And I'm like, sick, you know, somebody bought skis. You know, that's dope. It also works in, like, there's that guy who's cleaning out the garage over the weekend, and he's got the skis sticking out of the garbage can.
Yeah.
And you see that too. And you're like, oh, he's done with it. He's going to wait for the magic school bus to show up, take these skis away, and you'll never have to see him again. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like, that puts a lot of, like, I think for me, like, as a consumer, you take on that liability when you buy something. And so it's better to know everything that you're buying, you know, and hopefully, like, that guy's stoked on, like, his new skis, and, like, the box gets properly recycled, and he's taking the mindful approach and, like, how is it I see the life cycle of this new, you know, product. And I just want to be able to try to create that relationship with the consumer so they know the steps the brands are taking, you know, to think through these issues and hopefully find a cradle-to-grave solution for their products, mm-hmm. much like we are. Hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about some specific products. First of all, let's start with the Intention 110. Been tweaked a little bit?
It has.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, the Intention 110, it now, you know, obviously utilizes our algal tech ski material. So we've been able to find a secondary element where we can introduce our materials, take petroleum out, put algae in. That's kind of our tagline, our story, making algae our star.
Making algae our star?
Absolutely.
Star of the show.
Star of the technology. I mean, that's
not thinking like, no. I was thinking constellations for a second. But
right.
You're thinking more like...
It's not guiding our decision making, but it's
algae is your North Star?
It's our MVP in the technology platform.
Algae is your MVP.
Algae is our MVP. But we came out with the tagline like algae in, petroleum out. And ways that we can use algae in a meaningful way is now with the algal wall. Because of the density of a cast urethane, it's like 60% biocertified. So we've taken out 100% petroleum-based material that's extruded, that comes in dimensional sheet form, that once profiled, you actually discard more of that material than you do use in a ski. We've now been able to almost nearly eliminate all waste and replace that material with something that is designed performance-centric for a ski, that actually its performance characteristics improve as the temperature goes down. Which you would think of anything else in skis, like it's getting cold out there, like things are getting crispy, like we're flexing plastics, like things are going to break, and our urethanes actually get stronger the colder it gets. And that's something that, because it's application specific, we've been able to arrive on some way that we can improve performance while in the same breath reduce our dependency on petroleum. And so casting a liquid urethane, like Xan brought up earlier, gives us the optionality that we can basically use a variable depth channel where when we profile the ski core, we don't end up having to remove any of that sidewall material because we profile it into the finished dimension. So our waste stream has been dramatically reduced. We've been able to improve ski integrity because of this material application, increase the bio content of the ski's overall construct, and then figure out, okay, so like if this thing's going to like polymerize with the wood, like how is it interacting with that wood? How is that interacting with the manufacturing process? So we've ended up, by result, eliminating paulownia from the cores, which I know is like a light hardwood that a lot of manufacturers are using today. And we really liked it. You know, when we came out with the Intention 110, it needed to be a ski that gave us, you know, kind of like start to finish optionality. You know, it's a very diverse ski shape. You guys have skied it. And it needed to kind of be a jack of all trades because it's the only ski we had. So adding paulownia left and right of the algal hard foam core out to edge, which is just like where you have the vertical stringers, and then we would run paulownia out to the edge. It lighted up the ski a bit and still retained a fair bit of its strength. But, you know, as we started developing and testing these new materials, we had to start analyzing all the adjacent materials that are having to work in complement to this new urethane. And we were just, you know, blown away with some of the strength characteristics that we could achieve with an aspen versus a paulownia. Not to mention that the paulownia, it's not nearly as dense. So it's having, you know, its problems interacting with the urethanes when they're polymerizing, because, you know, that process is drawing moisture from anything it can get. And that moisture creates imperfections with the cast. And so we ended up having to like find where we can reduce some of those imperfections in process, where we can get stronger ski integrity wall to wall. We're doing 3-point tests, you know, where we're driving a certain amount of force down through the ski, supported by 2 uprights. And with the paulownia, we're seeing like that core is like propagating its fracture line. Whereas like with an all aspen core with our urethane, which doesn't break in those tests, but the core with the aspen is snapping clear between the 2 points. There's no propagation, and it's taking much more load than what we were able to get with the paulownia. So we know we've been able to increase strength, and by nature of its density, we've been able to improve the consistency of the urethane as it's polymerizing. And 2, like we had no visibility to where we were getting this paulownia from. It was coming over on a boat from Asia. And good luck trying to get like an LCA on that, you know what I mean? So it conflicted with some of our morals around having, you know, clear visibility and providing that transparency onward to the consumer. So we know we can source aspen locally, and it can be a, you know, a very consistent, uniform supply for us. And it's been beneficial. So the result is skis got a little bit stronger, skis got a little bit heavier, you know, and I know you're not bummed about that. But it got heavier in a mindful way because we now have also introduced the 100. And by nature, its dimension, the ski's lighter. It's narrower. It's designed to be more nimble, quicker edge to edge by nature of all these, you know, geometric innovations. And it allows the 110 to now be a little bit more specialized in its own domain, you know, a ski that is capable of ripping big mountain, you know, consequential terrain. It doesn't need to be the jack of all trades like it was in the first year. So we've been able to kind of tweak the 110 to be a little bit more powerful for kind of the 110 big mountain category that ski likes to play well in, and now have a narrower, more nimble complement with the 100, where we can still hit some of those lower targeted weights that backcountry skiers want, but still provide them with the versatility that they can ski it in a variety of snowpacks, you know? So.
All right. So the Intention 110, paulownia got swapped out. Aspen is now.
Yeah, it's all aspen, and the algal core is now all aspen with the high density algal foam.
You know, we're going to be getting on the new Intention 110 when it starts snowing and all the rest. So don't lie to me now. Have you found, well, I guess I should back up. Have you guys been able to prototype this ski and the rest? Like Pep and Matt, you guys have been spending time on this?
Absolutely. I let Pep speak to it because he had some pretty opinionated decisions.
Okay.
That went into play.
Well, then you go, and then we'll see if my question is still, if my question is answered by with what you have to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we achieved kind of what Matt was saying. Like we achieved the strength characteristics. We still also had to tweak a little bit of the angles in the profile to keep it still playful because we like playing in the snow is what we all love to do. And especially in backcountry setting, like you want to be able to get loose and light and have maneuverability. So we also increase the tip height a little bit, just so it becomes a little bit more powder focused and you get that really nice planing sensation when you're on them.
So this is to say first versions of the updated Intention 110 felt a little either too stiff or a little too chargy for what you were going for?
Initially, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were a little bit too stiff in the tail. I think like that changeover, like when you're going through the testing process, you really need to like identify certain variables and then kind of change methodically throughout them. And once we changed to the Aspen core, the tail stiffened up a lot.
Yeah.
And also with the urethane bonding directly to that Aspen, you get a really solid line torsionally. And so that torsional stiffness also plays into the overall strength characteristics. And so, yeah, I think we had to tame that down a little bit by reducing the core depth, thickness. That's the word I was looking for. And then we were able to achieve that stiffness that I like personally. Yeah.
So, because when you first started talking about some of the changes and you were using the word strength, my question was, okay, so is this going to primarily, like, when we get on the new one, we'll be like, oh, it's real hard to notice an on snow difference in terms of feel, but we have a durability bump, right? Like, but it sounds like you're saying, please correct me if I'm wrong, there should be a durability bump, but you're saying we are likely to find a different on snow feel.
Slightly. Yeah. I
don't know why I was looking at you that whole time. Sorry. Apologies.
No.
We're all part of the conversation.
I'm sending brainwaves over to him right now. Yeah. This is good. This is some telepathy going on right now. This is cool.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to preserve a lot of those same sensations that you felt last year because, like, we really liked how that skied and performed. And so minimal adjustments on the feel of the ski, but upgrades in terms of durability and charginess.
So, it should charge harder, and we've got a bit more tip splay going on the front end.
Yeah, just slightly.
Anything else we want to say about this Intention 110 before we go to the new ski?
We made it one length shorter. So last year we bottomed out at 171, and we had a lot of women from the backcountry ski community ask for a shorter length. And we also had some young male adults who are coming into backcountry skiing looking for a shorter entry point. So we introduced a 164 length.
Was that for Xan?
Yeah.
Xan's
honestly, I'm hoping for some snoller blades, honestly. I like them real short.
Yeah. I mean, Xan was kind of waffling on the 78 or 85.
Yeah.
I think he's at home with the 85s now.
Yeah, no longer waffling.
Yeah,
85.
No, he was, I think, when we first met, we were a little bit, on opposite ends with the ski length spectrum. I just like longer skis because I'm taller. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm biased in that regard, but Xan's light, he doesn't weigh much. And so I could see how, like, a big ski gets heavier, gets more, like, strenuous to ski. So, I mean, I don't judge by ski length. I think people should probably ski shorter skis generally just because they'd be more dominant with it and they can really feel the ski for what it was designed for rather than getting taken for a ride. So, no, I think the 64 is going to be a nice addition. Continuing with both camber, you can get the Intention 110 like the Vital 100 in both a positive cambered and a full reverse camber. And we've done some time really tweaking that, like don't just like trade it out, like really develop what makes this ski well in a reverse camber profile. what makes this ski well in a positive camber profile. So, and historically, I think the thing that's probably been the most impactful in our design and testing is that we have history to compare ourselves to. So in the first year when we introduced the 110, we were comparing it towards other skis. You know, I had recently done the Forefront MSP 107, and Pep was working on the Mindbenders with K2, and we had benchmarked some other skis that we thought were really cool and skied great in the market, like we talked on the podcast last year. And this year we're just comparing ourselves to ourselves. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like if you go to the site, you look at the data, like it's all about where we were last year, where we are this year. And we're presenting that transparency with all the graphs around stiffness, and pull strength and torsion rigidity. All that stuff is front facing as it compares to the skis from last year. So we have the data to back up that there's small tweaks and that we're comparing those tweaks directly against what we had last year, not just another ski that we're excited about that's in this room as well. So that's kind of how that 110 got to where it is for 2020.
Yeah. Vital 100?
Let's do it.
What do we got?
Well, so it's our new 100 underfoot ski, focused on more firm snow and technical skiing conditions. So you could call it like more of our like spring oriented ski, if that Intention 110 is more of like the early season to like approaching midwinter kind of ski. What do you want to add? You want to get into the testing experience, kind of what we were going for? I feel like this is something Pep should weigh in on.
For sure. Well, of course you want something that is going to be, you know, your friend in the up track and your friend in any kind of technical situation. And you all, like the intention behind the Vital was to have a ski that you can go out for a long period of time. You can go out all day on longer missions. And regardless of what snow condition you encounter, you won't have a blip in your confidence when you're skiing down. I think that was really realized actually when we skied them in April. We were expecting to ski very spring-like conditions, and instead we got kind of like 4 to 6 inches of snow, and that was on top of some really solar penetrated snow. It was really hard and kind of nasty, and there were big ice chunks here and there, but like they did great in those conditions. And then of course, as things changed, they also skied well in corn and crud. And anyway, I mean, we also we try to get a lot of different people out on the skis and different skier styles. I think a really good testament to these skis' ability came from a group of 3 guys who did a volcano tour, self-supported on bikes from Mount Shasta all the way up to Mount Hood. They hit 7 volcanoes and biked the whole way with our skis. And they encountered every condition as well. Like they got snow, hail, rain, corn, crud, like the whole gamut. And they wrote us some really nice notes afterwards. And were like, skis were perfect for what we did.
When the skis were out in like the field, they skied really well, but in the lab they felt maybe like underperforming, you know, like they felt soft and almost forgiving. And I was like, oh, these skis should be stiffer, you know, like we're building a ski that needs to like complement the 110 and all this stuff. And then we actually brought like a group of we call them Friends of Wonder together, our FOWs, and just to kind of talk it through. And they're like, you know, it actually like makes a lot of sense to have this ski be a more versatile, a little bit softer, more forgiving flex, because you need to think also about like the interface between this ski and like the type of binding you're going to use. You know, like we're not going to design every ski with the intention to put a look pivot 18 on it. You know, because like if you overpower the ski for its binding interface, you're going to have a mismatch in characteristic. Like the ski needs to be capable from the boot through the binding into the application set. And so I thought that was a really interesting takeaway. It was kind of a maturing experience for me because I typically just relied on my ego to like tweak skis to make them ski right, and arguably like majority of skis that I've had opportunity to work on needed to eventually be refined for commercial purposes because they were too one-sided. You know, whether they skied well for the local area that I was testing them in, and that could have just been the fact that like I'm just catering to a fall line, and
catering to a fall line. You really do have a way with words. I love that. That's great.
That was some more ninjaing right there for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that.
I don't want that to sound egotistical because that's not what I meant to say, but it kind of sounds like it. Like, oh, I had to cater to the fall line today. Like, no, like if the mountains like provide, like I'm going to go up and lap like the Tram in Jackson. Like you're going to build a stiff, straight ski because like you don't have enough leg in you to like make turns all the way down. You know, so. You know, that would be a catering to the fall line type of experience. Eric Jorlison made like this bomber ski back in the day so he could keep up with Hugo Harrison. He was catering to Hugo. Like, and it had a direct impact on the type of skis we made for Eric with his name on it because it was like, I'm just trying to keep up with this crazy man. And so we made a ski with an 80-meter side cut. It was insane. So like, I guess I'm just trying to speak to like, I was very open-minded. And I think we had a really thoughtful roundtable about how ski binding, boot interfacing needs to work in harmony to provide that experience. And I also want to provide a little insight to the listeners because I feel like they deserve some, you know, backstory to how we drive skis. And you know, if you've had a chance to ski with Pep or myself, or you've been able to witness the type of skiing that we're really into, we love skiing powder, right? Huh. I know it's a shock for a lot of you guys out there, but like that's like been the thing that he and I have probably focused on skiing the most the last 10 years because we used to compete in slopestyle against one another, and we both found our passion in the backcountry, hence which makes this partnership so rad. But we wanted to make a 120, like that was the next ski.
110 to 120.
Yeah, I mean,
solid.
That was our move. And Pep's like, Pep's like, well, like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm really sure. Because, like, I haven't skied a 110 on a regular basis in a while. You know, I always had a Renegade 120-something. And then I would downsize depending on, like, in terms of waist width, depending on the feature. You know, long approaches or whatnot, I would narrow up a bit. But it wasn't typically for sake of trying to, like, lighten weight my kit. It was just, like, to try to make the skis more maneuverable. So I just felt like it's time to return back to the 120 now that we've got the 110 seated. And Xan was like, I think we should really think more about, like, is that an appropriate next ski? And so we actually sent out a survey to our FOWs. And I was expecting them to already, like, read my mind that this is a questionnaire around a 120. Like, it was so blatantly obvious that that was going to be the next step that I didn't even, like, realize that I left the door open for them to comment about what waist width they would want in the next ski. And so all of a sudden, we've got these unguided answers coming through to questions we asked specifically around the 120 that are all, like, leaning towards a lighter, more nimble 100 waist ski. And I'm like... But I didn't ask you that question if you wanted a 100. That was something Xan did. Xan, like, you know what I mean? Like, what is this? Like, this was a questionnaire about how can we make the 120 the best 120 it can be, and all the FOWs were like, yeah, dude, I think it's a good move to like make a lighter ski. Like, this is smart. And I was like, that's not what I asked you. So now Pep's like, dude, I'm going to Japan. I need a 120. And like, you know, straight up, like, I agree. You do need a fat ski for Japan. And so we had already started working with Logan Imlock, shouts to Logan, our ski designer, to like create a shape outline for a 120 that built off of a lot of the characteristics we had in the 110. But then, like, literally, like, I talked to him on a Monday. We then called him like later that week, and I was like, dude, this survey came back, and like we've been talking internally, and we think we should probably also make a 100. And he's like, well, which one's priority? I'm like, actually, the 100's now a priority. So we'll just take what you have right now with the 120. We're going to build a one-off for Pep. And he can go to Japan with that. But we're going to shift all of our focus around the development of this 100. And it was a great decision. And that was another maturing experience.
Xan's over here just like,
oh, dude, this is...
No shit.
Xan's loving it, you know?
This is a funny position to be in.
Yeah, because he was like kind of asking for the 100 instead of the 110.
Yeah.
And, you know, he and I had just kind of gotten to know one another started working together when it was like, it came game time to like make a ski. And so I just ran with it, you know, and they were just like, dude, we just got to run with this, you know, like we have to get a prototype to test. Can this material ski? Can algae ski? And like, I was like, cool. Like, call up my homie Logan, like, let's make a ski. I got a ski made. Daniel and I cranked out a prototype. I'm like, hey, we made a ski. And they're like, cool. What is it? And I was like, oh, dude, it's a 110. It's going to be super rad. And he's like, okay. Like that was the basis of his input on the start. Mm-hmm. And now that we've had a year working together, he's been able to have a lot more, you know, contribution to the design conversations, and now also with the extended FOW community, we were able to field their inputs. And I think just having that soundboard and that platform of like-minded backcountry skiers to collectively like own this lifestyle of WNDR Alpine and think about what's the next appropriate move. While it came at the conflict of my personal appetite for a narrower ski, I mean, I'm stoked on the 100, but I still want a 120. I think it was the right next step for the brand. And it really gave us some optionality with, like we said, with the 110 to make it more what it can do and allow the 100 to be more versatile for the audience that wants to use a ski that has that nice harmony between boot binding, high alpine, you know, ski ascents. So that's a little backstory for you guys out there.
Is backstory plus Matt like subtly trying to make sure that we're all aware that he skis hard?
It's not even about
He's
that.
like, some people out there might say that you don't need to put a pivot 18 on every ski. It's like, we get it, bro. We get it, bro. Now,
I always thought T-bolting a boot to a ski would be rad. You know what I mean? Like, you just step out of your boots, like they just sit on the wall. There's no binding. I mean, that was before knee surgeries and everything.
Right,
I just thought I was invincible. But I was like, dude, what do we even need these things for? Every time they come off, I lose. You know what I mean? When they stay on, I win. This is killer.
Yeah.
Like, I need bindings coming off.
We need to take a moment here to revisit the Pep versus Sterbenz slopestyle comp days.
Dude, Pep's undefeated. It's the Pep factor, dude. He just shows up and wins everything. It sucks.
Is that how you remember it?
That's not really how I remember it. I mean, I think the majority of the contests that we were like head to head in were like U.S. Open. I don't think I ever did really well in the U.S. Open. Maybe a top 10 finish here or there.
Yeah, X Games in Aspen.
X Games.
I think you got third. I got seventh.
Yeah.
We did the Snowbird, Red Bull Big Air.
Oh, that's right. I kicked your ass there too.
But I was like, I think you and I had to go against each other in the semis or something.
Yeah.
Which was, it sucked because like it was all bracket system, you know. And I remember like Candide like got taken out because like Candide did
like
something
Godzilla or what?
I know, he's the best.
Yeah.
He did something like just super Candide, like a flare. You know, like a big, he like hit like the table and did like a backflip 180, but like held the tail till like his skis touched the ground, and his like French style with his palm hat, and everybody's just like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And then you get like another kid coming up, he throws like a 1080, and the judge is like, up to 1080 wins. And like, it was just at that point in time where the sport hadn't really defined how style plays a role against technicality. And then you had like other French skiers like Laurent Favre come up, like throwing like, you know, fives to the flats and the like U.S. Open Big Air. And people are just like, that's the most insane thing. And, you know, we haven't really seen style like that be such in stark contrast to tech, because like everything got...
Actually, that's funny. At that contest, I remember Sage doing these insane cork threes. Just super smooth.
Right when Sage got recognized.
Yeah.
Pep and I, like, we kind of came into our own in that era where you had this interesting juxtaposition where some people were really, really style-centric, you know, Mikel Deschanel style. And then there was other people who were just trying to put as much into it as possible. Like, they were going to push that jump to the extent that it's capable. They're going to spin as many rotations and try to land as far down the landing as possible. And so I remember I made my way through the brackets at Snowbird, and it was during the Olympics, which was weird because we had like a Red Bull Big Air event happening during the Olympics in Salt Lake at Snowbird, who wasn't hosting an event at the time. And so we had like this unique, you know, non-endemic crowd watching, because they were all in Salt Lake to witness various events from the Olympic Games, and they saw all of a sudden this Red Bull Big Air event happening. So, you know, we attracted a really diverse audience that day, and it was bracketed, and it was all done in Gad Valley, and it's a cool setting. And I remember I had a really awesome way through the brackets. I had just the right trick to outperform each of the people, and I was like, shit, dude, I'm getting up there. Like, I might be in the finals, you know? And then I ended up having to go against Pep in the semis, and he took me out. And I conceded the loss before I even pulled up to the starting gate. I was like, oh, shit.
That was probably your problem.
I lost my mental I lost my mental edge.
That's like, right. Pro tip, don't do that.
I lost my mental edge. You're right. You're right. Yeah. You know what? And another thing, just for fun, is I was skiing for Scott USA at the time, and Johnny Atencio, big shouts to Johnny, he was a TM. And I remember I had an episode where I crashed in the event, and my binding broke. And I came back to him, and he was like, whatever, in the industry area. And I was being pretty vocal about my, I was so upset about this binding breaking, you know? And I was kind of throwing him under the bus a little bit. And he just kind of pulled me over to the side, and he was like, hey, Matt, like, there's people from Salomon around here. Like, you don't talk like that. Like, if you're frustrated about something, that's fine. You can be pissed. But don't make it, like, you're not getting any points for this. Like, calm down. And I was like, shit, Johnny, like, just kind of dad, like, you know, it was kind of like a dad move, like, whoa. And, like, I was literally just thinking about that episode, like, a week ago or something, I ride my bicycle. And I was like, dude, Johnny, like, took the initiative as a TM to be like, dude, it'd be better for your image if you didn't voice your frustration right now. Like, just be humble. That didn't work out, and let it be. Because you're not going to, like, win anybody over by making this a big, you know, nobody's going, oh, dude, side with you because your binding broke. Yeah, screw those guys. And I was like, dude, that was like a really good growing thing for me. So I got a lot out of that event. Obviously losing to him, but I got that perspective from Johnny. So I became a better person from it all.
So for like moments of growth, we're talking that moment, and then like conceding to make a narrower ski. Those are like the top two, or
yeah.
No. It was like, how can I figure out to work a way where like Pep and I design skis together? You know, that was like what I was going for.
Well, you nailed it.
Because I was like, dude, this guy, he's got my number. Like, I should be learning from this guy more often. And he was so well received over at K2, and the things that I was trying to accomplish with Forefront, there just wasn't a good fit. And I know we may have talked about that in the past, but like this opportunity to work with him has been a really cool full circle now for that. You know, we started competing against each other, and most of the time he had me. I don't know. I can't think of when I beat you. If it ever happened.
Like,
if it happened, it was like I was 9th and you were 12th because you fell or something, you know? It was never like we both stomped our runs and they raised my arm and not yours.
Huh. I don't know. I guess you probably weren't in the next games when I think I got last and Andy got second to last. We were both on Hellbents.
Oh, tight.
I will ask, though, Pep, I was asking if you'd spent much time in Crested Butte, and I think you said you'd only been here once.
Yeah.
And it sounded like the most epic way you could possibly roll into Crested Butte. So you care to share that little tidbit again?
That was me, Sean, and Seth. We were out, working on a project for K2 to film some of their new skis. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago now. Yeah, we went out to Irwin. We stayed at the 11 Experience. You probably know those guys, but yeah, pretty hospitable place. We went up to Irwin. We skied there a couple days, and then like there was a bit of a hot spell that came through, and things were getting a little bit sketchy. So we tried to find a smaller zone, more confined, and we found one that was pretty close to town, and Sean was about to drop into his line. He made one turn and the whole face ripped out. And that was it. We decided we'd call it there. Bailed the next day.
So you, Sean, and Seth roll up, get on top of a line, the whole thing cracks, and you're like, I think we'll call it a day.
Yeah, and a trip.
Yeah, that's a spooky propagation experience.
Yeah.
The whole wall comes down.
Oh yeah.
Well, you still then need a proper ski of CBs. So I don't know. We'll have to think about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have
Bring
to think
me back.
about this.
I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of time to really finesse any backcountry zone. Yeah. You know, you can ski all the classic, most obvious lines, but it takes sometimes a lifetime to really understand the nuances and the things that really like the left and rights that really make a mountain range special and unique like anywhere else you'll find it.
Back to the Vital 100 for a sec. So I'm hearing you guys say that it is a bit softer of a ski than the Intention 110. So I'm not, I mean, we haven't skied this yet, so am I wrong to say this doesn't sound like that very traditional kind of ski mountaineering 95 millimeter ski that you're going to take to Chamonix to just go be serious on? You know, like that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but what I've heard you say so far is like, no, this is going to not just be that kind of one-dimensional tool, which, by the way, nothing wrong with that, like time and place. But does that sound fair, that it's going to maybe be a bit more, whether playful is the right word to use, or just a bit more versatile than that kind of traditional skimo tool?
Yeah, I think it's be more diverse. I think it's going to be more accommodating also for different types of approaches, you know, and accompanying gear that needs to go into the whole package. I think that's something that I can't emphasize enough is like really important, is the complete package. Because you can take an overpowering binding or an underpowering binding and you'll get poor experience with both entities, right? You won't get the satisfaction and comfort and confidence in the binding because it's coming out too soon because the ski's overpowering itself. So finding that match, I think is really important. And, you know, one thing we haven't talked about is like how we wanted to complement the nature that because it's 100 waist, the ski's already going to be naturally quite agile edge to edge. My personal experience is that I don't see a flat spot between edge transitions at 100 millimeters underfoot. It goes from edge to edge seamlessly. You get into like a 105, 110, you do start to feel that flatness between edge turns, right? Whereas 100 is super quick edge to edge. So how do you make it so that the ski still performs well in diverse environments? Most of the time when we look at skis, even skis in this wall, the narrower they are, the shorter the side cut is, right? And we thought, like, as a backcountry ski brand, like, that is counterintuitive. It's already nimble edge to edge because you made it narrower, so why not make the side cut longer?
You're pulling at my heartstrings right now.
So the Intention 110 actually has a shorter side cut than the Vital 100. So
we haven't talked about this yet.
I know.
What is the side cut, stated side cut?
In an 83, it's 24. And in the 85 110, it's a 22.5. So the side cut's 1.5 meters for its respected complementary length from model to model. So as the skis got narrower, we wanted the same kind of stability at speed so that when you hit the apron and open them up, that the ski didn't get all nervous because you've got a, you know, slalom ski side cut on it because it's a narrow ski and it needs to have a short side cut. And I think like the forgiveness and flexibility of the ski complements what's on the market today too, because you have these super lightweight laminate construction skis, you know, they're like 1,500 grams or less, and they're, you know, torsion box, carbon fiber construction. They're super tingy and hollow feeling because the laminates are so stiff by nature. They don't have much give. So we wanted to create a ski that's narrower. Yeah, it's not going to be the lightest ski in the class, but it's going to ski well at higher speeds because of its longer side cut, and it's going to be forgiving so that you can ski a variety of different snowpack and not have that like tinginess, stiffness, you know, like, God, this ski's tail is like, I flexed one of the skis in this room, I was like, holy, that tail is rock solid. Like, you know, it's an ACL jerker, you know, like it's going to keep that boot forward, you know, like there's no falling back seat on this thing, you know. So, you know, I think that's some of the ways that we were able to tweak its complements in terms of shape to the 110 and to the complements of what we see in the 100 class of skis in the market today, you know.
Yeah. To kind of follow that up, like as a skier in different situations, unless you're really, really good, you're probably going to make some mistakes, and you're going to need something that you can get out of those mistakes quickly. And so,
amen.
Yeah.
I like forgiving skis.
I make mistakes once in a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's nice to have a ski that can, you know, get you back on your feet.
Yeah.
and not just further drive you into the back seat. Like, oh, my back is slapping against the snow. I can't stand up on these things, but I can't stop them either.
Yeah. one fun thing is that all of us are sitting here thinking about and trying to somehow figure out in our crystal balls, like, this coming winter. And, you know, man, like, literally we are all doing that. And, you know, I know one of the things you guys have talked about with WNDR Alpine is trying to do some more kind of community event type things. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, last year we debuted a backcountry ski event called the WNDR Roost, which was really originally the idea was just to kind of reward early adopters to this new brand with an opportunity to come out and ski with all of us. So we hosted that in the Wasatch, and it ended up being awesome because it really brought a lot of the community together. We really got to know a lot of our consumers really well. And yeah, it was really just a blast. We wrapped up our second ski day with like a tour of the design lab in Salt Lake, and then did a live ski build in front of everybody. Everyone's just like hanging out, beer in hand, watching the ski that they skied only hours ago get constructed. So it was cool just to bring everybody together to ski together, but then also just to aid our goal of transparency and showing really what's going down in the design lab day to day and how we're manufacturing and iterating new materials and products. So we definitely plan on doing more stuff like that in this coming season. Certainly COVID dependent, yeah. But we're going to figure out a way to do it and make it inclusive and fun for everybody. And yeah, stay tuned for more announcements on that.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, this has been fun. Yeah, thanks for paying us a little visit here, and I'm really looking forward to getting on this 100 and the updated 110. So I don't really want to start praying for snow just yet. I'm really enjoying riding bikes right now, but you know, everything has its time. And but yeah,
it's coming. You know, COVID or not, it's going to snow.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be a great backcountry year, and we're excited to have what we have to offer to the community, and yeah, get out there and start enjoying, you know, the fruits of our labor.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Good to see you. Good luck with everything, and let's go eat some food or something.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right, guys.
Thanks, bud.